I wanted to address this briefly because it annoys me and it concerns me and it fascinates me. I was accused on Twitter this very day of being negative. A guy who I like, a guy goes, Nicola, tweets this. He says, since when does Jaffe's covering God of War news the same way Quartering covers Marvel movies? And then that led, because all these thumbnails he's looking at are, easily read as negative. And they're meant to be dramatic. They're meant to be, what's that? They're marketing. They're meant to get you to click on the clip and watch it. And, hopefully the clip inside doesn't feel as negative as the thumbnails or as evocative or provocative as thumbnails. But I did want to address it because then a bunch of people were like, yeah, Jaffe's so fucking negative. And then today I saw this on just now talking about God of War sales plunge, which is an accurate piece of news reporting. In the UK at Retail Box Products, God of War dropped significantly compared to second week drops of other software. Sonic Frontiers dropped less. The original God of War 2018 only dropped 36%. This was like a 73% drop. So it was worth discussing and asking if it meant anything, right? This guy's like, you just love raining on people's parades, don't you? Whose parade am I raining on? It's a video game. It's not your life. It's not your identity. It's a fucking video game, man. And I like discussing the good and the bad. I've said numerous times, even though I have issues with its pacing, I think the new God of War Ragnarok is fucking great. I'm loving playing it. People are like, he's always so negative. I'm raving about Evil West. There's Hard West. Evil West that just came out. I'm raving about that. I'm raving about Marvel Snap. I'm raving about this beautiful fucking book. Look at this goddamn thing. The Elden Ring book. This is probably my game of the year. This showed up a couple days ago. It's like 500 pages of, lore and strategy and maps. And there's this big fucking beautiful map right here that like folds out big as a kitchen table. It's I love games, but I have to say, I think what it is, and it's a generational thing, I think, is now, again, will I concede to, I don't call it clickbait. I know some of you do. I call it marketing. Will I concede to marketing my videos so that the thumbnails get you in the door? Of course. It's like releasing a movie trailer of just people looking at each other and going, trust me, the movie, if you watch it, it's good. It's like, you gotta show them some sizzle, man. You got to hit them emotionally. That's how it works, how it's always worked. But short of that, though, I think it's a generational thing where it's like anything negative is looked at as really bad. And I don't mean that there's a lot to love about the new generations coming up, not the least of which is the fact they got out and voted this year, which is wonderful. But I get it. I get that if you are raised not just being told everything you do is great and you're going to be fine, there's no failure, there's no sense of loss, and you also grow up with the anxiety around things like school shootings and terrorism and stuff that my generation never had to deal with, really. I get that you are sort of cooking in a stew that would yield a person who needs to be told everything's going to be all right and needs to have their own desires and likes mirrored back to them. And I appreciate that. And here's good news for you if you're one of those people. There's plenty of channels out there that do. Plenty of channels out there that will give you that. That's not what Gabbing Games has ever been about. It's not what I've ever been about. I like to discuss shit. I'm fascinated by the 67 or the 73% drop of God of War Ragnarok. Is it because, there's a lot of reasons. Probably part of it is it was front loaded with a lot of people who really wanted it. And they, instead of like God of War 1, where they needed a little bit of word of mouth to get them into the second week, everyone knew it was going to be great. So that's part of it. Part of it is more people are buying digital than they were in 2018. And these are only box products. That's part of it. The UK is still constrained when it comes to hardware. That's part of it. And it also could be the fact that since the game has come out, all the 10 out of 10s and this is brilliant, it's better than the first one, all that, you've started to see, or I've certainly started to see, a bit of a turn from people who are actually now like Gen Pop playing the game and going, it's really good, but it's got some really bad pacing issues, or it's really good, but the puzzles, the game, you know, I made a video about it. The game solves the puzzles for you, or whatever, which is not to say it's a bad game, which is not to say it doesn't deserve to be up there as a game of the year contender for some people. But it's just going, that could also be affecting it. And so the video, or that section of the video or the show, was about, let's discuss that, right? It's not negative because I want to discuss it. And it's also not negative if it turns out that the game doesn't do well. If the game doesn't do well, I want to talk about that too. I want to talk about, is it not doing better than the first one in the long run because the first one got by on such goodwill, because so much of it was a great game, of course, but it was also this reinvention. But without that reinvention narrative, it's left to its own, to stand on its own, and maybe the game wasn't able to do that, which obviously leads to the discussion of, so now what do they do with the franchise, right? I mean, I find all of this stuff fascinating. If you just want, and I'm not belittling you, I'm not patronizing you. I get it. I absolutely get it. There are times where you just want to fucking turn on YouTube and have your worldview parroted back, because I'm not fucking with you. I get it. I do it the same thing. You want to be told what you already believe because it feels good. That exists for you. Go with God if you believe in God. But come on, really? God. But that exists if you want it. But I'm not interested in that. Why would I do that? I left a career where I had these ability to make these decisions, these creative decisions, and work with writers and creatives and to really build something. Why in the world would I just become a guy on YouTube that just plays it safe and tells you what I know you want to hear versus what I think we should be talking about? I don't understand that. I would never do that. So that's not what I'm about. That's not what the show's about. But I would like to just, you know, it bothers me when people say, oh, Jaffe's negative. I fucking love games, man. I love video games now more than I have since I was a kid. When I got into making games, I still love them, but I just couldn't love them as a fan anymore because it was impossible for me. I was doing the work. Now that I've been away from the work for a while, at least in a meaningful sort of directing way, designing way, I've fallen back in love with the medium, and I'm passionate about it, but I'm also critical about it. And so, you know what you're getting into here at Gabbing Games, but I just wanted to clear that up. I'll be streaming some tonight and tomorrow, but if I don't see you until then, have a great, happy, safe Thanksgiving. If you're not spending Thanksgiving with loved ones right now or this year, it happens sometimes. I understand. We will be doing a Thanksgiving Day special tomorrow morning sometime, depends when I get up. Our Thanksgiving dinner here is at 4, so we have a couple hours to just sort of play games and do some prizes and talk about the news and just chill and be stupid. So come have your Thanksgiving with us in the morning, especially if you're not doing anything big tomorrow. But if you are, swing on by anyway. I'd love to see you. Be well. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon.